To understand parental alienation, we have to begin with attachment, because without attachment theory, alienation looks like preference or conflict. With attachment theory, it becomes clear that alienation is an injury to a child's core regulatory system, and that injury needs established definitions of psychological child abuse. Attachment is not about liking one parent more than another. It is a biological system designed to keep children safe and regulated. When children are distressed, afraid, or uncertain, they are wired to seek proximity to caregivers. This is not a choice. It is survival. As children grow, attachment becomes the system that regulates emotion, stress, identity, and relationships. Children do not form one attachment and replace it. They form multiple attachments at the same time. Secure access to more than one caregiver creates resilience. Losing access destabilizes the nervous system. This is why access matters. Attachment requires proximity, predictability, and repair. Proximity allows regulation. Predictability allows safety. Repair allows trust to survive conflict. When any of these are repeatedly disrupted, attachment security erodes, even when there is no yelling, no threats, and no visible violence. Parental alienation disrupts attachment through repeated interference. Communication is filtered. Time becomes unpredictable. Transitions are unstable. Emotional signals communicate disapproval when the child expresses affection for the other parent. Each act may appear small. Together, they reorganize the child's attachment system. This is where alienation becomes psychological abuse. Psychological child abuse is defined by sustained patterns of behavior that harm a child's emotional development, sense of safety, or relational security. Alienation does exactly that. It places the child in chronic loyalty conflict. It pressures the child to suppress authentic emotions. It teaches the child that love is conditional and that attachment itself is dangerous. Children do not reason their way through this. Their nervous systems respond first. When expressing love for one parent threatens emotional safety with the other, the child adapts. Affection becomes managed. Joy becomes muted. This is not manipulation. It is a stress response. This is why children do not choose alienation. Choice assumes freedom from coercion. Attachment behavior is pressure-sensitive by design. Children align with the relationship that feels most necessary for emotional survival. That alignment is often mistaken for preference, when it is actually fear-based adaptation. Early alienation is subtle. It often begins with conditional permission. "You don't have to go if you don't want to." Sounds empowering, but when refusal is emotionally rewarded and compliance carries emotional cost, the choice is not free. The child learns which behaviors preserve connection. Narrative shaping follows. Past events are reframed. Doubt is introduced. Memory shifts. This is not lying. Memory in children is reconstructive, and repetition matters. Over time, the child's internal reality is altered to reduce conflict and maintain safety. As pressure continues, children may take on adult emotional roles. They begin protecting a parent's feelings. They justify restrictions using adult reasoning. This role reversal, called parentification, is a recognized form of emotional abuse. Children are forced to manage adult emotions at the expense of their own developmental needs. Loyalty conflict becomes internalized. Loving one parent feels like betraying the other. Attachment becomes zero-sum. Identity begins to reorganize around that conflict. The child learns that relationships require self-erasure. Cognitively, children may use language beyond their developmental level. Emotionally, they may appear calm, certain, or detached. This is often misinterpreted as resilience. In reality, it is suppression. Emotional numbing is a protective response to unresolved loss. As alienation progresses, resistance becomes visible. Anxiety emerges around transitions. Physical complaints appear. Eventually, rejection may occur. Importantly, the targeted parent's behavior has not changed. The attachment system has been reorganized under chronic stress. At this point, the abuse is no longer subtle. The child has lost a parent psychologically, even if the parent is still alive and available. That loss occurs without safety justification and without repair. This is relational deprivation, a recognized form of psychological harm. If the process continues, attachment collapse may occur. Anger gives way to indifference. Emotional detachment replaces connection. This is not healing. It is loss. Attachment theory reframes the entire issue. The question is not which parent the child prefers. The question is whether the child's attachment system is being protected or reorganized through fear, pressure, and emotional coercion. When viewed through this lens, parental alienation is no longer a co-parenting issue. It is psychological child abuse carried out through manipulation of attachment. And once you understand that, it becomes clear why early recognition matters, because by the time rejection appears, the injury is already deep.